Welcome back to another episode of Humanitarian Horizons, Christina DiArcangelo Unveiled. I am your host, Christina DiArcangelo. Today, we are going to dive into a case that shook the nation, the tragic murder of Gabby Petito. Her story not only highlights the dangers of domestic violence, but it also exposes systematic failures and how we respond to it. We'll discuss the role of the Gabby Petito Foundation, the failure to charge Brian Landry's parents, the civil suit that they lost that was brought forward by the Petito family, and most importantly, we will talk about what we can learn from this case and how we can protect domestic violence victims. Gabby Petito was a 22-year-old woman full of life, adventure, and dreams. She and her fiance, Brian Landry, set out cross-country in their van to do a road trip and vlog about it in July of 2021, which originally seemed to be something very exciting, turned into a horrific nightmare. By September, Gabby was missing, and Brian returned home to Florida without her. 10 days before her murder, on August 12th of 2021, in Moab, Utah, police stopped the couple after receiving a concerned citizen's 911 call that potentially there was a domestic violence situation. Police body cam footage showed a distraught Gabby taking the blame for the entire altercation, while Brian, on the other hand, appeared calm, collected, and even was joking and laughing with the police officers. Instead of identifying her as the victim, where you can see the marks on her face and on her arm and elsewhere on her body, the officers decided to identify Brian as the victim, and the two were separated. And Brian was placed free of charge in a domestic violence hotel, while Gabby had to camp in the van alone by herself. That moment was a missed opportunity wherein intervention could have saved Gabby's life, in my opinion. By September 1st, Brian returned home to Florida alone. Gabby's family was desperately trying to contact her, but the messages were going unanswered. The Landry family refused to cooperate, further delaying the search efforts. On September 19th, Gabby's remains were found in Wyoming, and the cause of death was strangulation. Brian later went on the run. His remains were found in Florida at a nature reserve in October. He had left a confession admitting to Gabby's murder. But here's where the system failed again. His parents, Christopher and Roberta Landry, had a clear knowledge of their son's actions. They misled law enforcement and provided no help to find Gabby. As a matter of fact, if you watch the Netflix documentary, you will see the actual body cam footage that was released where the police officers showed up to the Landry's house, was talking to the father. The mother was present. Brian was nowhere in the scene, of course. He was hiding somewhere, I guess. And they refused to cooperate. They only handed over their attorney's business card, which, P.S., they had put on retainer prior to Brian's returning home to Florida alone. Despite their role in obstructing justice, they face no criminal charges. This failure to hold them accountable is something we must examine closely. Gabby's family refused to stay silent. They took legal action against the Landrys and accused them of knowing Gabby was dead while publicly acting as if she may still be alive. In December of 2023, a jury ruled in favor of the Petito family, awarding them $3 million in damages. Beyond the lawsuit, Gabby's family channeled their pain into action. The Gabby Petito Foundation was created to raise awareness about domestic violence, provide resources for victims, and push for policy changes. Their work reminds us that Gabby's story isn't just about tragedy, but it's about preventing others from suffering the same fate. Gabby's case is like one of too many. Domestic violence isn't always physical. It can be psychological, emotional, and financial. I know about this. You all know that I have spoken about this on previous podcasts, wherein I admitted that I have been a victim on 2 occasions of domestic violence that resulted in psychological, emotional, and or financial abuse. This type of violence thrives in silence and secrecy. I know the signs of domestic violence and how devastating it can be on the victims themselves. So what can we do? Recognize the signs: unexplained bruises, sudden behavior changes, isolation, which is what I did. I isolated myself. I did not have any physical bruises and things of that nature. Again, my type of abuse was psychological, emotional, and financial. Financial control is also a red flag. What you should do is try to intervene safely if you suspect someone is in danger. Offer support, encourage them to seek help, and when necessary, contact the authorities. We need to be an advocate for change. We need to push for better training for law enforcement to recognize and properly respond to domestic violence situations. Gabby's life mattered. If law enforcement had treated her differently that day in Moab, she might still be alive. We owe it to her and to all the victims to do better. Thank you for joining me today. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please reach out for help. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24/7 at 1-800-799-7233. Let's keep raising awareness, demanding justice, and standing up for those who can't. Be sure to follow the Gabby Petito Foundation to support their mission. If this episode resonates with you, please share it, leave a review, and let's continue the conversation. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and keep fighting for what's right. Thank you.